I have been trying to get this fucking thing to download for at least an hour. I'm starting to think they must have shut the servers down or something. This is the file for Detroit Become Human for the PS4. I've been watching a lot of David Cage documentaries lately, and I thought I'd give this game a second glance. Honestly, his games are not very good. I've played every one of them except for Omicron. I first played Fahrenheit Indigo Prophecy in 2005 when I was recovering from surgery for a week, and I picked it up. And by the end of, I think, the third or fourth day, I had finished it. And I'm a conspiracy theorist, so I found the aspects of the story about secret societies to be more interesting. Grew up playing point and click adventure games, and I played those text-based adventure games. One of my favorites actually is The Wizard of Oz for the Commodore 64. I really do enjoy the Wyndham Classics games. Don't bother playing them for DOS because the DOS versions are garbage. They sound like crap, they look like crap, they are crap. Jack the Ripper for Commodore 64, another text adventure, Lurking Horror, Swiss Family Robinson. There was a lot of them. Another one of my favorites was Treasure Island. The SID chip on the Commodore 64, they got some really good stuff out of that. Let me see this here. No, it's still stuck at 99%, I think. It's still stuck at 99 hours. So I don't think it's there. I could get this game on Steam, but I don't really feel like putting out money for this. I'm sure it looks great with higher resolution and ray tracing and all of that fancy stuff that I don't have. But no. By the way, this game, the thing with David Cage games is that he doesn't know whether he wants to make movies or he wants to make games. And I'm just some guy sitting in a chair with an opinion. But if a game plays badly, it's not going to do well. And as cinematic as you make games, they're still games at the end of the day. It's not a movie. Sometimes you just want to blow shit up. Sometimes you just want to shoot zombies. Sometimes you just want to laugh at parodies. But if a game plays badly, it's going to reflect badly on it. And this is the problem with David Cage's games. Fahrenheit, okay, it's passable. Let me see this again. Nope, still at 0. So from Fahrenheit, I went on to Heavy Rain. And I was actually excited about Heavy Rain when I first saw it because I'm a big adventure game fan, like I said, and I thought, well, this can't be. It's got to be good, right? But Heavy Rain is, in my opinion, one of the worst games to ever have been made. Its controls are clunky, its interface is terrible, the voice acting is bad. People have made documentaries on David Cage and they articulate things much better than I'm sure I could ever do. But Heavy Rain is terrible. I had problems because of my cerebral palsy, I have a bit difficulty with my left hand, so I had problems with some of the button prompts. You gotta hit like 5 or 6 buttons at once, and it's like, okay, I gotta press the 4 shoulder buttons, then the 2 face buttons, then this button over here, then I gotta hold the thumbstick up. What the hell is this? There was a point where I was playing Heavy Rain where I actually had to use my tongue to hold down a button, which is kind of funny, but still. They had all this extra content planned for the stories, and the only one that came out was the taxidermist. And then they pulled the plug on it because I guess they wanted to do Heavy Rain in VR, and it really sucked. But Heavy Rain is a depressing game. It controls badly. It's just terrible. And I played Beyond Two Souls, which is, I'll give it this. It's got some actual gameplay elements. Like I like the stealth segments in that. Somebody bought the game for me for my birthday when I was like 35, and I finished it in like 6 hours. And I don't want to go back and play this again. I did play a little bit when it was free on PlayStation Plus, and I could still afford PlayStation Plus. And then we come to Detroit Become Human, which is graphically it's a good game, but it suffers from a lot of the same problems. The controls are bad. The story's not as convoluted as Beyond Two Souls was. It has somewhat of a formula it follows now, so that it makes sense so you don't get lost in it. And I played through it, and I think that my least favorite characters, the least interesting characters, are probably Marcus and North and that whole bit there. And I get it. He's supposed to be this Christ-like archetypical figure that leads his people, and he's supposed to be like Moses, or he's supposed to be inspirational like Martin Luther King was. And there's just something about Marcus, something about his character that it's like, I don't care. I don't care. This character could die, and I wouldn't give a shit. I did find the most interesting characters in that game to be Kara and Alice, and I was more interested to follow them on their journey and saw where that went. But basically, they threw it away. The developers threw it away. They threw those characters away in place of, they put more emphasis on Marcus and Connor, and I liked Connor and Hank. Those are interesting characters. I like the dynamics between those characters. To me, and I've watched video essays on this now, and different people have different opinions. What the subtext and what Detroit Become Human's all about, and it's got various themes in it. But to me, it's more about humans' relationship with AI and the lengths to which people could potentially go to abuse it, and the questions of what happens if artificial intelligence becomes sentient one day. Are they entitled to a Bill of Rights? Are they entitled to employment? Are they entitled to payment? Would they require payment or food or any of that? And those are interesting questions. I think Fallout 4 did it a little bit better, actually a lot better. Fallout 4's characters are more interesting, and I have problems with Fallout 4 itself, but that part of the story I did like. The questions of, are these androids property? I forget what they call them in Fallout 4, but synths. They call them synths. So it's the question of, are these synths property? Are they property of corporations? Even though they can think and learn and function by themselves, are they still property? Because they're not organic. They're not a living being by definition. But they can do all this stuff and they have sentience, so do they have the right to exist? And that is an interesting question. I don't even remember why I started this video. Oh yeah, it was about these downloading patches and stuff like that. Long gone are the days when you could just go buy a game, you put the game in your console, in your CD drive or whatever, and you might have to download some files from the disk onto a hard drive. But you put the game in and the game works. There's none of this BS about, oh, let's download this and download that, and it's going to take 4, 5, 6 hours to do it. Speaking of that, nope, it still hasn't moved. I'm sure that I'm willing to bet they threw this game under the bus now. The patches and everything has been thrown under the bus. There's nothing wrong with my internet connection. I'm on fiber here. So I'm pretty sure they threw this game under the bus. This has always concerned me, this idea of moving into these virtual environments and these digital environments, and I've always been reluctant and had reservations about it. It's concerning. You can go back to the 90s, back to something like EverQuest, which I did get for my birthday. I think it was on the PlayStation 2. I tried it. I can't get into MMOs for various reasons. I don't enjoy them. It's mechanically, it's just not for me. They're boring. I tried it. They're boring. I tried Lord of the Rings online. It was boring. I tried DC Universe online. It's boring. I find MMOs boring. I did play Grand Theft Auto online for a number of years, but after a certain amount of time and you acquire everything, it gets redundant and it's boring. But this concerned me, because I saw people spending real money on digital things that don't actually exist. They only exist within that digital environment. And people were spending $30, $40, $50, $100 and more on stuff. And if you want to do that, that's up to you. More power to you. But I just never really thought it was a good investment. It's not like I can put it in a box and take it out later and use it again or share it with a friend or sit down with, family members in the same room or whatever. So to me, it was never really a worthy investment. I'm concerned about everything going digital currency, digital IDs, digital entertainment, because I think that over the last 2 decades especially, people have been conditioned to accept this. And there might come the day where indeed, as everybody's heard it now, we'll own nothing and we're supposed to be happy. Might be something worth thinking about considering. The value of physical media and actually owning something with your hands. Doing something physically with your hands. Doing something in a physical space. Because there's always a cost. And when is the cost going to be too high? People have got to stop and they have to say, no. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not paying for this anymore. I'm not supporting this anymore.